This time we're going to be going over how to use the Euclidean distance tool, what it's used for, and then also using the Reclassify tool to put unique values to our data. So first, it's going to be set up the same way that we did the buffer tool, essentially, same process, all sort of things. We're going to have to use the model builder, we're going to have to search for tools, etc. So right now, this Euclidean distance tool will work for any point feature. So if you are wanting to use Euclidean distance around a polygon layer, there's additional steps that need to be taken for that. So I'll go more in depth with that on another video. But right now we're just going to be looking at using Euclidean distance on point feature layers. So for our example, we'll be using the airports that were given to all of you with my ArcGIS data for our North Country Trail project. So as you can see, all of the existing airports, private, commercial, etc., are listed here. So there's actually quite a few, which is interesting because a lot of people that for this project that are, looking more into wildlife, birds, things like that, and just having a more peaceful hiking experience, being farther away from airports is probably going to be ideal. So this is probably a layer, again, that some, if not, most of you are going to want to analyze further. So again, we'll just turn on that layer. I already have it on my map. If not, go over to your catalog, drag it in, or whichever point feature is critical for you guys to analyze. And then if you guys hadn't watched the buffer tool video previously, again, we need to get into our model builder. So we need to go up here where there's the map tab. We need to go over to the analysis tab, and then we're just going to click on this model builder, and then that will take you in here, which again is just an organizational tool where we're going to be running all of our geoprocessing tools and our analysis. So make sure, again, you save this periodically, just so it's always staying up to date and you're not losing any data if the program were to ever crash or anything like that. So again, searching for tools is right here. It will actually show a geoprocessing pane if you click that drop down, or else it will show up on the bottom right hand side. So what we want to do first is we want to drag our map airports layer into our model builder. As you can see right here, I've already ran it, so I will show you the process of what that looks like. I'm not going to run it just because it does take more time, and I just want to show you essentially the inputs and outputs and what it looks like. So again, bring your airport layer in, and then we want to search for our Euclidean distance tool. So the Euclidean distance tool is going to use each point and calculate the distance to each airport, if that makes sense. So we're going to type in Euclidean distance in the search bar. It's going to be in parentheses spatial analysis tool, so disregard all of these. We don't need direction or allocation, anything like that. So it should be the first one that pops up for you. So just left click and drag that into the model as well. So you can see it's not currently connected, just as in our buffer video. So we are going to want to click on our gray Euclidean distance tool. I'm just going to use the one I've already ran for ease. So again, we're going to have our input raster. Again, make sure you use the airport layer that is found under the model variables. If you don't, it won't connect to that layer. It'll create its own layer connected to Euclidean distance. It doesn't really matter, but for easy access and easy use of this, find that layer under the model variables. Again, our output distance raster is just what we want to label it so that it's easy to find, and it's easily identifiable in our map once we add it to our display. So our input raster or feature area data. This isn't anything we need to worry about for, we can keep everything pretty much as it is right now. This is helpful if you have a barrier that you want to disregard. So if I were to go in and select my 20-mile buffer, it will only analyze airports that are outside of the 20-mile buffer. So for that purpose, I don't recommend using it. But you can use it for other things if that is useful to you and your criteria. Anyways, just leave all this as it is, and then you'll press OK. And then you'll see that connection here between the airport and the Euclidean distance tool. Again, you'll right-click and you'll run. And once it finishes running, you will get a green output of your transformed data. So then again, you're just going to right-click and add to display. So if we go to our display, we will have something like this pop up. Again, Euclidean distance is just going to calculate each cell. So the cell in this instance is the airports and the distance to the closest source. So the way we're looking at this right now is it's saying that the closer to the airport, the better, right? Well, probably for most of you, that's going to be the opposite. Closer to the airport is going to be bad and not suitable, and further away from the airport is going to be the most suitable. So if you want to change your symbology for that, we're just going to go here. It may pop up with a different color scheme. It's kind of random in how it selects that. So you can choose this one, just so you know green is good and red is bad, essentially. You can invert that. So now we're looking at it the way we've talked about. Red is closer to the airport. It's not desirable, but green is further away. Okay, but now what are the distances away from these? This doesn't really make sense. There's no set parameters in terms of what distance this is. How far from this green desirable area is that to an airport, and etc. So that's why we want to go back and we want to use the Reclassify tool so that we can set our own parameters and our own specific distances. So we ourselves can define what is suitable and what is not suitable. So if we go, I'm just going to turn this off, and then we're going to go back in. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our geoprocessing search tab, and we're going to search for the Reclassify. And it'll be the second one. Again, we only want to deal with our spatial analyst tools. So we want to disregard that 3D analyst tool. So again, left click and drag into the model. As you can see, I selected the wrong one. So essentially this data is the same as this data, but if I would have selected the correct one, this would have connected directly to the Reclassify. So when I say select the model variable, that's what I mean, because now it just creates its own thing, which, again, like I said earlier, it doesn't really matter, but it'll just create its own thing, and it may sort of mess with the organization of it, but anyways, we're just going to roll with it. So again, in order to connect it, just like we have everything else, we need to double click on our Reclassify. We're going to go here. Our input raster is going to be our airport, and our Reclassify field is going to be the value. And what we want to do then is we want to classify. And from here, you can set the number of classes. And what that means is, you can set these intervals. like we have right here. So if we want to do 5, we'll just type 5 and we'll press OK. So this is where you're going to use those defined parameters that you have specifically set. So how close do you want to be to an airport? What's a suitable distance from your trail to an airport? Things like that. So if you want to have 5 classes, 7 classes, whatever, that's totally fine. It's up to you and what your parameters are. So you'll notice all of these are in feet. And so every time, I mean, most of us are going to use miles, but you have to convert those to feet in order for it to work. So what I'm doing, let's say 0 to 3 miles. So I'm going to convert 3 miles to feet. So 15,840 is going to be ranked a 1. I don't want to be within 0 to 3 miles of an airport. That's not suitable for my goals. And so we'll just go on and go on until we get to a 5, the farthest away. Okay, so make sure you stop and start with the same value so you don't have any gaps, or else they're going to show up as no data. And again, that output raster is just for organizational purposes. So make sure you'll just label that something that you'll know what it is. Then you'll press OK, as before. We're going to right click, we're going to run, and then it will pop up green saying it's successfully run. And then we're going to right click and add to display. Once we go back to the map, this layer will pop up. Really crazy symbology and color schemes. Again, you can change that like I showed you before in the symbology pane. So if we go there, we can click and change the colors. We can have no color. We can have no color. We can keep disregarding things, if you will. So essentially, all of these these dark pink are going to be suitable. And maybe we have to give and take. Maybe we do have to deal with a 3, which is moderately suitable. But honestly, we don't even want to consider areas of 1s and 2s going forward. So this is just a way to further reclassify those distances in a way where you're using your set data. And again, if you don't like the output of this, you can go back in, you can change your values, and then it will ultimately change that output, maybe giving you more or less space to work with that is suitable. So again, I hope this makes sense. I hope this is a useful resource for you. I hope these tutorials are making sense and help you be able to apply your own data that you need to use Euclidean distance and Reclassify on, and helps you bring together your own suitability analysis. So again, I'm here if you have questions. Again, thanks for watching this one. See you guys later.